Hey, everybody. Tonight is going to be a great show, as always. Welcome once again to IncrediChat, brought to you by Incredicon, the Hudson Valley's family-friendly comic and pop culture fest. As always, I am Mike Lopez, your wonderful host here at IncrediChat. And tonight we have two very good friends of ours here. If you came to our show a couple of weeks ago in Wappingers, and they're at all of our shows. They're regular fixtures, regular friends. I don't even think we need to go into a big introduction. Let's just welcome them on here to IncrediChat tonight. The creators of Astron Star Soldier, Bronx Heroes in Trumpland, and the entire Felix verse. Welcome, Ray Felix and Tom Sciacca. Hello, guys. Welcome.
Hi, everyone out there in Facebook land.
So here we go. Ray's been here on IncrediChat before, and you've done the Grazi's getting to him. Tom, this is a first for you, so we're excited to have you.
You know, I was so excited I even put my pants on.
Oh, well, that's important, especially in these days of Zoom and all that.
I took a shower too, by the way, so does everyone know I took a shower?
So, thank goodness you're not taking it now.
No. I took a shower just so everybody knows that. Oh, by the way, and this is my my special Kurt Swan Superman pillow.
Oh, nice.
So it's going to be right over here.
So you sleep on Superman every night.
That's right. And I have a big Superman pillow too. That's 3 feet tall. So
it's a Superman body pillow?
Wow.
What?
It's a Superman body pillow?
Yes, it's old. It's old.
So you cuddle with him every night?
I cuddle with Superman every night. Not my wife.
Where does his face go?
What?
It's going to be one of those shows tonight, folks.
Don't worry, kids.
All right. Garden here. Brought to you by
Oh, great.
It's always a
Ray's gonna be hot tonight. Let me tell you. Let's see, what do we have to show here? Oh, wait. See, I got this in the mail the other day. I got the superpowers
screen, Tom.
Season of superpowers.
Talk about that.
Yes. What?
Talk about it. I'm giving you the
floor. Talking about it. So shut up. So,
hey, my show.
Right. Superpowers. This is the final season of the Super Friends. They call it Superpowers. They fight Darkseid, and I think a bunch of comic artists did layouts for the animation. Mike Vosberg and Kirby and other. But anyhow, so it's interesting. It's got Firestorm and Cyborg in it, and it was interesting because, of course, as you kids know, I had a little incident 43 years ago with the DC that they kind of borrowed from Astron, Firestorm, his abilities and origin, etc. And
well, you know what, Tom, and that's actually a good place to start. So, I mean, we've talked to Ray, and we're going to talk with Ray a lot tonight. But Ray has some stuff on this. For our viewers who are just meeting you now, tell us, because you have such like a vast background. So you're talking about back in the day when you're with George Perez and all these guys. What were you doing with these guys back in the day?
What was I doing with these guys back in the day? Well, what was I doing? I don't know. Oh, no. I went to high school with George.
Okay.
And then in high school we
Jesus Christ.
We created. What are you doing?
It was the 70s.
It was the 70s, man. No, I was in high school at Cardinal Hayes with George Perez.
Okay.
And I'm just getting distracted by my assistant over here.
Okay.
We went to high school together, and that's where I created Astron in high school. And
are you okay, Tom?
She threw me off. She's there doing something, and then she's going out, and she threw me off. I was like, I created Astron in high school with George Perez, and he ended. I pegged it, and we did it, and we drew it, And then we did another book called The Battalion,
Okay.
full color, that had Astron and some other characters that George and I created. And we did it as a comic book, but in color. Of course, then we didn't have things like offset printing, so we just drew it and then stapled it together and handed it around to everybody in the school. Then one of the friggin' priests took it and tore it in half.
Oh my goodness.
So then I fished it out of the garbage and I taped it back together years later in '76 when I was working at Marvel and George was working at Marvel. I gave it back to George. So now I've displayed some pages on Facebook. So I have the pages all, and he scanned all the pages, so I have all the pages scanned.
Gotcha.
But Astron's in that, so that was like 1970, right?
Mhm.
So anyhow, so in '76, I'm at
DC.
actually Marvel before that.
Mm.
So I started working on the Astron book at Marvel when I was at Marvel before Vinnie Coletta dragged me to DC. And then because I asked Al Milgram, hey Al, would you like to ink a couple of pages? And he goes, well, I'm too busy, man. You know, because he was an editor at Marvel. I said, okay, fine. So I did the book, and all you kids can look up Astro Comics #1 on eBay, and you can go buy a copy from various. There's probably about 100 dealers selling it. Anyhow, so I did the book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I penciled the whole thing, but then I had all my friends I was working with at DC ink it, like Rick Buckler and Tex Blaisdell, who inked a lot of DC Superman, and goes back to the golden age of Black Hawk and whatever, inking quality comics. And then who else? Joe Kubert inked some panels, and Terry Austin, Jack Abel, Joe Rubenstein, etc. And then Mike Rail did the cover, blah blah. So I printed it, and I printed it in the Warner Brothers basement at 75 Rockefeller Plaza.
Okay.
How did I do that? They had a big printing press there. They printed all the movie posters and stuff. I was friendly with the manager there, Frank Scorsese. Yes. Martin's older brother, Frank.
Interesting.
I was friends with him. So I gave him a little cash on the side, and he printed it at night for me.
So it fell off the truck. It
fell off the truck, basically. So I printed it in the DC Comics basement. Then I had Phil Suling, who had Seagate Distributing and Bud Planton, etc. They distributed it to newsstands. So I was working at DC. I did my book, printed it in the basement of DC Comics, and then had it distributed on newsstand. That was in 1977. And then I gave copies to everyone at DC, including Tom, because I figured, well, maybe I can sell the character to DC.
What was the print run back then, Tom? What was the limit?
I think I printed 5,000.
Yeah.
So that got all distributed, including Steve Jeppy, who had his Jeppy Comics. He distributed it also. And they said, no thanks. It's a nice book, but no thanks. And then a year later, Firestorm comes out, and they managed to kind of borrow ideas from it, like the two characters,
like the whole issue,
together, exploding in a nuclear explosion and becoming one character, and then the colors, and then the kind of look of the character, and whatever, and then some of the dialogue, and then Ray and I went through it. When we were at your show, and we were looking at the book and whatever. So they kind of bought, but I was working at DC at the time, so I couldn't really sue. I kind of like bitched to Jerry Conway, and he said, "Oh, what a coincidence!" But then the book only lasted 5 issues.
Pulled panels out of it.
Right, they pulled panels out of it. The book lasted 5 issues, and it was like, it was like a dead issue, right?
Yeah.
So they really didn't do anything until, what, 84?
84, yeah.
84, 85 when they did the this thing. But I was already out of DC. I was just doing freelance, and
Gotcha.
And I'd already written for other magazines, for Variety, and I was editing my own magazines with Irving Fast, the Star Blazer magazines, and I also had done writing for the James Bond producers, so I did a little rewriting on Octopussy. actually not rewriting, but I actually wrote the original opening for Octopussy, which they used part of in the movie, and then the parts they didn't use, what I wrote, they used in Tomorrow Never Dies for that opening. So I was like in touch with them, and then I also worked on Never Say Never Again, the Sean Connery one, on the publicity for that, because I ended up getting hired by Talia Film, who did Never Say Never Again, and there was Talia Shire, who was Martin Scorsese's brother, who was in the Rocky films, and her husband Jack Schwartzman. So I worked for them for a couple of years, because they did a few movies that didn't really do anything. Hyper Sapien,
gotcha,
and Lionheart, and then that BMX bike movie.
That was a great one. I saw that in the theater, in the Allentown Theater.
Yeah. That one too. So I wasn't really concerned that much about Firestorm.
But you've been doing a lot of other things, and I mean, for people who've come to the Incredicon shows and just all the other shows, like, people don't always get the full story of Tom Sciacca. So that's why it was great that we heard this tonight, because, you know, let's move over to our buddy now, who's up there. I guess he was sharpening pencils or something.
Tom Sciacca, this is your life.
It's my brother from another mother, Ray Felix.
Truly, but I mean, let's talk about that partnership now, because Ray, you've been on with me, you've been on with Grazia.
Ray was a woman, I'd marry him.
We know the Ray Felix.
You're the second person that I know that said that to me.
Oh, really?
Thank you.
Ray and I are both Sagittarians, even though we're 20 years apart. And the thing that's scary is both our wives we think so much alike. It's scary.
Yeah, he finishes my sentences.
Yes, I know.
But so how did we get this partnership now between Ray Felix and Tom Sciacca, and how did that get us to what is now becoming the Felix verse? Where did you guys meet up? Where did you guys hook up for the first time?
When did we hook up for the first time?
WinterCon.
Oh, WinterCon was like 6 years ago?
Something like that. WinterCon.
Right.
Okay.
I think because I had something heavy traffic. I don't know, was it the yeah, I think I had the heavy traffic soda, and you saw the soda. And then he saw the arrow. He says, "Oh, I have a character that has an arrow on his head too." And I was like, "Really? That's cool." And he went.
He thought you were ripping him off too, then?
Huh?
No, he was not.
You were ripping him off with the character with an arrow.
No, he was not.
It was supposed to be a one-way arrow on his head.
Good, actually.
Like a one-way arrow, you know.
I thought it was quite good, actually. And then we started talking.
Yeah.
And I showed him the character. Because I was at a table, I was next to Joe Rubenstein. We had tables together.
Okay.
And, I gave him a copy of one of the books, and he went and he did a drawing of Asteron.
Yeah, I did a drawing of Asteron. Yeah.
His buddy inked it. I forget who that was.
Chris inked it.
Oh, Chris inked it. Yeah.
Chris stuck it.
Yeah, and then because at the same time I was with Joe Rubenstein. I was doing sketches, and I had some sketches of Asteron, and Joe Rubenstein was bored because there weren't that many people there, so he just kept grabbing my sketches and kept inking them, you know. Cool. So I ended up using the sketches in the reprint of Asteron 1. But anyhow, and that's where we met, and we said, "Hey, guys from the Bronx," and we kind of hit it off there.
Yeah, we did. We hit it off. He was like, "Hey."
Exactly.
Yeah, it worked out. I think because we had a lot of similarities. Grew up in the Bronx. You know, at the time, I think I was still living in the Bronx 6 years ago. Yeah, I was living in the Bronx.
Yeah, you're still on the concourse.
Yeah, so I was on the concourse. We had a lot of. When I say that Tom finishes my sentences, I'm not being facetious. Literally.
Yeah.
He's thinking something, and he'll call me. And I'm thinking the same thing, you know. Like, what was the name of those twin brothers? The.
Oh yeah.
You get one, you feel it.
It is kind of scary at times.
Yeah, there's only one other person in my life that actually that occurs with. So we're on the same wavelength. I think we lost Michael.
And is that your wife who thinks that way, or no?
No, another friend of mine in California.
But
yeah, it's just we have a similar thought pattern, you know. It's like when you have great minds that are great intelligent minds that are creative, tend to vibrate, I guess, with each other, in the same frequency,
Yeah, because I mean the one thing that totally I think is most impressive with you guys is the amount of material that you produce consistently. I think that's the one thing that's I feel is really impressive for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and all the way up to where we are right now with, and we'll talk more about Bronx Heroes and Trumpland, which is Astron. And my favorite character, the world's greatest superhero, Black Power.
We got
the world's greatest superhero.
Punchline Clown Detective issue number 6 here.
Now, so let's go through that. So the process for you guys, how do you churn out all this material so quickly?
I teach and I draw. That's all I do.
We rip off Jerry Conway.
I neglect my family.
I just. Like
here, hold on.
Len and I just draw shit, just draw, just keep drawing shit.
Yeah.
Just come up with ideas and draw stuff. So this is the project that I'm currently working on. I'm almost done with the Astron graphic novel. That'll be like 150 pages.
Okay.
And then the next project which I came up with was the Astron 1939, the Golden Age. So I'm doing a fake history of Astron as if he was created in 1939.
Okay.
So Tom Ahern has inked a bunch of fake covers already, and so there's going to be a few stories, and they're going to be like the old days, 8-page stories.
Okay.
Done in the style of the 1940s. So so I'm just basically stealing ideas from all the greats like Alex Raymond, stuff like that.
You're giving up the tricks of the trade. That's not allowed.
I know.
Folks, if you want to make a comic book, this is the way to do it tonight. Follow me.
And here's one of the things I just recently found this. This is one of my when I was an editor at Bronx Community College, a newsletter. This is from 1973, and so I used to do these like weird covers.
Let me look at them. Hold on, let me give you the screen again. What is that?
These weird covers for the Bronx Community College newsletter.
Okay,
that's cool.
So this is kind of like a space cover, and then
I like that. You did that, Tom?
Yeah.
Oh,
look how weird it looks. It does look.
I want to scan that thing. Bring that over. That's cool.
And then I did other covers. I did a Spirit cover. We did a Captain Marvel cover.
So you had a comic book club in Bronx Community College?
No. This was actually the newsletter. This was actually the school newspaper.
Oh, nice.
It was done like a newsletter, like a little magazine. So I would just do covers.
That's awesome.
And people love the covers. In fact, I even got elected vice president of the student body
just because of your covers.
And I got directed because everyone thought I was Puerto Rican.
Really?
They looked at my name and thought I was Puerto Rican, so they voted for me.
That's cool.
Nice. That's very nice.
Oh, by the way, when I was at Bronx Community College, you guys are gonna love this. One of my classmates in a history class and a couple other classes was David Berkowitz. Remember that guy?
Oh wow,
David Berkowitz, son of Sam.
You were buddies with him?
I don't know about buddies, but I went to lunch with him a couple of times.
We don't need to talk about that.
No, but he would tell me about his life story, and that he used to get beat up by kids in grammar school, and he's called Dumpy David. This is what he told me. This is what David Berkowitz, son of Sam, told me.
So wait, Tom, why are you telling us this?
Because I'm saying that what happens when you abuse kids and you're a bully. This is what happens to some kids; they become serial killers.
So why don't you write a comic book?
But then I started writing comic books like that. Like
and here we go. Then we'll give that.
Talking about
Heroes in Trumpland. Read it.
Read it, kids.
Let's talk about
Amazon.com or go to Bronx Heroes Comic Con and buy it from Ray, and he'll give me $1. I'll get $1.
Well, I have to say, for me, because you guys came out with that, was it January, February that came out, right? Right before
it came out in April.
Yeah, well, I mean,
But it was re-released on
3 weeks.
Diamond re-released it last week.
because I remember it was like right before the pandemic we had a little event here that you guys came and joined us at, and you guys were selling. I guess that was maybe
just before the thing hit
in February.
That was like the last show. That was the one we did in the
And then
Gypsy.
And then so I can say like I enjoyed some Bronx Heroes in Trumpland during the pandemic. Honestly,
I'm glad you like it.
I'm glad someone did.
I ordered a copy from Bronx Heroes BHXCC.com, aka Ray Felix.
Did you get it?
Of course I got it.
I heard some complaints, but
No.
But I mean, listen.
I'm only kidding, kids. Ray sends the stuff out right away. Don't worry.
Right away.
No, I had it in about 2 months. No, the pandemic was over. No. Of course,
he got it out right away, but it took.
I sent the media emails.
6 months to get it delivered.
Yeah, no, it came very quickly, and Ray, and I mean, all of Ray's books, and I guess some of your stuff now, Tom, is going to be showing up there on the Bronx Heroes Comic Con. .com. But yeah, I mean, Ray had some other cool books that he sent me to, which we won't get into tonight.
Oh. I think you know what those books are. Yes,
Those are the old Ray Felix books. That's the old.
I think they were medical books or something.
But anyways, so let's talk about Bronx Heroes Comic Con. Not Bronx Heroes Comic Con. Bronx Heroes in Trumpland. So what?
We're living it now, pal.
We are living it now.
We're at the end of days with Trump.
We're waiting to send him into space with Space Force.
Yeah.
So how did you guys finally decide that this is the story that's going to bring your characters together? Because this was the first crossover between your universes,
right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. The first of many. We actually have another one in production that's ready to go in print in a few.
We got a few things. Oh, how do we start? So
the origin of how Trumpland happened.
Well, around October 2015, I'm looking at Trump bellowing around trying to run for president. That's great. And I said, gee, what would happen if he actually got elected? He would probably become like dictator of the world or something. So I just started sketching out the first few pages of the book. And so I laid them out, and I showed them to Ray, and we thought it was pretty funny, but no one's going to buy this shit, so we just put it away. Mm-hmm. And then he got elected, and we said, "Oh, hey, I think we got to finish this fucking book." So and that's what happened, and it kind of like evolved from there. And then as we were doing it, then we hooked up with Tom Ahern, so he was inking stuff, and Ray. Then we said, then I was listening to radio on all of it on WNYC on at. Allison Stewart on at noontime, and she had on a guest who was an artist who was doing a book for Arsenal Pulp called "The History of Antifa." That's how you pronounce it. Antifa. And mentioned this publisher, and the guy's talking about it. I said, "Oh, who are these guys?" So I looked them up. Oh, they're kind of like a left-wing progressive publisher. They're out of Vancouver, Canada. So I just, for whatever reason, I sent them an email with some pictures, what we had. Mm-hmm. And then almost immediately I get an email back. They're interested.
Gotcha.
So they said, well, let's see how, so we finished it up. It took us a few months to finish it. And then we sent them the whole book, and they said, we'll make you an offer. And they made us an offer. We accepted the offer.
Yeah.
Honestly,
we couldn't have finished it by ourselves, even though we were cranking out pages like 4 months solid of. If they accepted it based as 100 and something page book, we only had, I think, 60 pages. So literally, we had to come up with 40 pages very quickly. So we had a lot of people that jumped in and helped us color. So we had like a bunch of people. It was just like
the late Dan Necrosis.
The late Dan Necrosis, he did the lettering, the title. We had Katrona, John Riddle, they came in and did colors, they helped color and stuff like that.
And then Ray came up with a couple of ideas for backup stories. He had one which I suggested he use, one which was done for another purpose about voting in the Bronx, which turned out great.
Yeah, it was like it was a backup story that because originally I was back in the 2016 election when Trump got elected. This is before he was even a candidate. I was supposed to do an election comic for the Bronx Heroes, for the Bronx was going to schools. We were planning this way before the election even started.
Because you did do a lot of things for the schools. I remember you had like the coloring book and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
Coloring books. Yeah, and then we were supposed to get this with the Board of Elections, which is the Board of Elections in the Bronx is run primarily by Republicans. I didn't know that, but I mean, they were really good. But their procedure had a lot of red tape. They basically approved the book immediately, but then they had some dude there, I forget his name, who was Amigo collector, and he's like, well, his art doesn't look very mainstream, and he was like, a comic book nerd. He didn't like my art style, so they were like, that guy actually changed the direction of it because he had all these Migos all over his office. Nice guy, but he's just a schmuck because because it's a comic book about the election. It's not about Superman and Batman and all that stuff. And so he kind of missed the point. So anyway, they had to vote on it. So I did the pages in I did about 16 pages for them to approve it. Everything was approved. But then when the voting started, the primary election, they had some problems in New York City and Brooklyn and the Bronx with voting machines, and it was all over the news. People were getting fired. They couldn't pay me, and they wanted me to finish the whole book. And I was like, well, I need to get paid if I'm going to finish this whole book. I'm not going to keep working on it. And they tried to sweet talk me. They came to my house. They said, don't worry, you're going to get paid. We're going to do this book, blah, blah, blah. Never happened. I even went to a paid game. Me and my son went to a New York soccer game with some of the staff. When soccer started playing, with the face painting and everything, they jazzed it all up. So but it never went anywhere. I got stiffed. So I did the whole book, never got paid. And some people got fired from what I heard, secondhand information that some of the people that were behind the project got fired or removed because those voting machines was a really big deal. It was ugly. There was a lot of court cases ensuing. And this is when Hillary was just starting. Trump still was not even in the picture. I don't even think he announced at that point. But anyway, so we had this leftover shit and we used it for the end story with heavy traffic, teaching people how to vote. So that was democracy how,
Gotcha.
And what's funny is that in the Bronx, it's very diverse, but the Board of Elections didn't want me to put black people in the book. They didn't want black power in the book because it was too controversial, they thought. And they didn't want to talk about the Electoral College. And I had a whole issue that I had drawn about the Electoral College. They were like, no, we don't want them. We don't want people to know about the Electoral College. We just want people to vote. I was like, well, that's. So the book that I was creating was actually informing you on every aspect of the election, and they were just like, "No, we don't want."
That's very interesting.
Years back then, they knew that they were going to steal the election.
Right. So they didn't want that at all. So, and then another backstory we did in the book is this one, Mueller on the Hill, which is about the Mueller investigation. So that was. And what's funny, Joe Biden's not even in this book because he wasn't even a candidate at that time. So
right.
But we did have Kamala Harris, So we had.
Where is she?
I'm in reverse. There we go. There goes Kamala Harris in Kirby style fashion there.
Gotcha.
And she's in one panel. She says, "Oh, Bernie Sanders." Bernie Sanders says, "Not again, Hillary. Not after stealing my election. The incredible Sanders won't stand for your insurrection."
Well, it's funny. Talk about how you wrote this because you just read a little snippet from it.
Right.
You wrote it like a Dr. Seuss book.
Yeah, it rhymed. Yeah, we made the book rhyme.
Yeah, basically, we did the Marvel style because I always liked working that way, and I remember learning at the feet of Stan Lee when I worked for him for 3 years.
Because what happened was, and the honest truth is, that Tom and I came up with the story, and then we gave it to Tom Ahern, and Tom Ahern inked it. But Tom Ahern changed. Like he literally erased portions of the story without telling us, didn't ask us, didn't tell us. So he changed the whole plot.
How did that happen?
Because that's what he does.
Okay. All right.
It's not out of maliciousness. It's just he feels like he has to. I could draw this better, so he'll erase the whole. But he ended up with all his changes. He didn't even realize he changed the story.
Oh my god!
And that's why we had to like make up and do fill-ins and try to build up the story. Like we had to even I had to draw like new pages. Tom and I had to draw new pages to re-explain what was going on because the story changed so much. And then I was like, if we try to tell a straight story, this is not going to make sense. So I said it has to be funny. We had to, we were laughing at the whole process of it all. And we're like, this has to be funny because if we try to just tell a straight story, it's not going to make it
work. Yeah, it wouldn't work. No.
So I said we have to make this. And it was already meant to be a humorous book. So I said, we have to make it rhyme, because, so this is like, I call it the Ed Wood of comic books. Like if Ed Wood designed a graphic novel, sci-fi graphic novel, it would be Bronx Heroes and Trump.
And we kind of we're thinking of Hamilton also with the rhyme. So eventually we could do a musical based on this,
Yeah, I saw it as a Disney song. Honestly, like the whole opening, and I had a beat to it. I just forgot the melody, but it's like, but the whole thing is like it's like a Disney cartoon. You have to sing the book out, and it makes sense,
But it worked out. It ultimately worked out with all the kind of crazy stuff. It ultimately worked out, and then Tom did a good job, and he even did the back cover there. That was that actually was something he just did on the back of one of the show the back cover. He actually did that on the back he actually did on the back of one of the pages that I had drawn, and he just kind of did this figure. I said, "Hey, that's a great figure. Why don't we just finish this?" And then I said, "Add the atomic bomb blast too, just in case."
Right.
So they ended up using it. Yet. And by the way, Ray did a great job of art directing this book, just so you know.
Gotcha. So, but let me ask you, what was the choice? How did you come to the choice that your two main characters were going to be Astron and Black Power? I mean, like you said, I know Tom, you have Astron. Ray has the whole entire road.
I just thought that Black Power would be appropriate. Being how racist Trump was, and he already was at this point in October 2015. He was already making comments about Mexicans and all this stuff. I said, well, Black Power was like the only character that could work with Astron. So that's.
We're thinking for the sequel, he can the Roach will run for president and go up against Trump.
Right. Exactly. Well, Trump. You realize that the Trump will probably within the next week announce that he's going to run it again in 2024. So
I did hear about that already. That's
already
going out there.
Yeah, it's out there. The buzz
is out there. So it's like he's already, they're going to go through all this nonsense. But ultimately, I think Biden's going to win, and Trump will. I'll run again in 2024. If he lives so long.
Right.
Although I don't know how he can run if he's in a gulag in Moscow or something, or if he's in Leavenworth prison. I know if he's allowed to run for president from Leavenworth prison. but that could be funny too.
I love this. I forgot that I wrote this. Bernie or bust 2026.
Oh my goodness. So
you realize that we're both insane. You know that, right?
Listen, but you know what? That's why we love having you. Enjoy it. So let's ask this question. And I don't
know why my wife puts up with me, but that's beside the point. She's waving.
Yeah, look at this. Behold the Siberian candidate. Sir, we have another anarchist that we can mutate. I'm going to make America great again. Nobody can do this better than me. I'm going to build the greatest wall to stop the Mexican murderers, rapists, and thieves, because nobody builds a better wall than me. I'll make this country great with gleaming towers that display my name. I'll make the hobos and retards my personal slaves and make them think by Trump they are saved. Very true.
So now let me ask you. You've gone to these. You were at my show. Was it last week? And I mean, really, Trumpland never got to hit the whole con circuit, right?
No,
because it got released exactly when the whole thing started. In fact, we both were trying to get the publishers. Listen, put this thing out in December.
Yeah, we were trying to push for Christmas really hard, and they were like, "Sorry."
No, we were always set. We're going to do this, blah blah blah. Because they're they go by their schedule. It's not a huge company, but it's a fairly sizable company, and they have like I don't know maybe 20 books they're coming out with. So they're doing their spring releases. So
right.
But is this now had we done this ourselves, we probably would have come out in December.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's why the reason I was asking is obviously you didn't get the full run, obviously because of the pandemic. But when you publicize it, when you have made some appearances, and certainly I know Ray's very vocal online, hitting up Twitter and on certain people, whoever was also vocal on Twitter, posting things on there.
I was posting the book on Trump's own Twitter feed.
So what I wanted to ask is, have you gotten, obviously not from the Trump camp, but what kind of responses have you gotten from really both sides of the field here, as well as have you heard from any people in the political world about
I wish. No one from the political world, unfortunately. But people who have read the book, they all love it. That's for sure.
Even the Trump people.
Even Trump people, yeah. Like Dan Necrosis was a Trump guy. And he worked on the book. At first, he was a very committed Trump guy. Like, he loved the Mets, Dan, and he was a very funny guy. But he was a diehard Trump. Oh my God, you can't say anything about the Mets or Trump. I was able to convince him, and I don't even think I showed him any of the artwork. Just talking to him, I was able to convince him. Trust me, you're gonna want to be on this book. This is gonna be the big time, baby. We need you.
Well, also,
this beautiful logo,
we were getting great response at the Black Comic Book Con in January, and we got videotaped for Now This, which is on
that was big.
Facebook.
And that was
online, and they did a whole video on us, which we showed at Fordham University. One of the last things that we did before they closed all the schools.
Yeah, oh my God.
Ray and I did a
Fordham University
seminar at Fordham University for filmmaking. So we were they showed the clip from Now This, and then also we were on the panel with like the producer of Blue Bloods on CBS.
Yeah, that was cool.
And some other people who are TV producers, of major shows, and us.
How'd that happen?
So I don't know.
We got these bums over here with a Trump book.
And they were, and so they all thought the Trump book was great, and then John Fuselgang, is that how you pronounce his name? He's a comedian. He's got a show on digital radio there. He was there, and he dug the book. But
I love this book. It's a shame. The only thing I gotta say is too bad Trump didn't make another 4 years, because we could have sold this for 4 more years. 4 more years.
Well, I think people are going to buy it.
Get rid of him. He's a bum.
People are going to buy
Biden.
People are going to buy it as a remembrance of Trump.
Yeah, we'll do Sleepy Joe, the sequel.
I think it's going to be more popular after he's gone than while he's there.
I lost the election. That's why I did this and posted that on Facebook.
That's great too.
I was like,
hold on, let me give you this.
Just like the monk in Vietnam self-emulating, we have Liberty self-emulating because Trump. I thought Trump was being reelected. I was like, oh, it's over.
Because I remember election night that was making its rounds, And it's funny, we don't have to get into the election, but there was some of the memes that had come out, it's like the whole world is watching Maury, waiting to hear who the father is.
Yeah.
or like it's like the world's waiting for the results to an STD test.
Well, the thing that's funny is that, and I think Ray posted the cover of, I think, the Irish Times newspaper.
Oh, yeah.
Trump is a liar. In Europe, and if you watch Sky News or BBC, they have no problem with calling him just a liar.
Is it a liar and a cheat to the bitter end? That's what
Right.
Look at that. The Irish Mirror.
I mean, I was watching Sky News earlier, and they're talking about, well, do you think that he'll be arrested once he's out of office? And they're talking about the various indictments, which will probably come down the line from the Southern District of New York. So this is what they're talking about in England. They're not talking about that here, but in England, they're talking about how he's going to be going to jail.
Look at this one. That's the woman in Florida with the husband that had the gun for protesters.
Oh my God.
I love this. And this one's the best. It says, Ricky, Trump's lawyers are trying to stop Puxasani Phil from. That's from that movie Groundhog Day. Man. He's trying to stop.
Oh, jeez. So what is next for Bronx Heroes, the Felix verse? And I mean, I know you guys said that that there were like a trilogy of Trumpland books. Is this still the plan?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm trying to get Tom to jump in on it, but yeah, I'm all these.
I'll get there eventually. I'm working on these other two books, but
you got to sell the first set of them.
I want to do a book on Trump with the coronavirus. We have like this.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Like make it more cartoony.
Right, I think that's great.
These are like the sketches. You got Fauci over here. It's to me. It's like they're going to be books on Trump forever, just like books on 9/11. This is a national tragedy. So and a travesty. So you're going to have a national travesty of Trump for a long time. People are going to remember this so that we don't put up with this nonsense again.
Yeah. So, well, also, Ray's working on the next couple of issues of World Without Superheroes, guest starring Astron.
Yeah, exactly.
But a different Astron, and another alternate universe Astron.
Alternate universe Astron,
of the future. So,
yeah,
and the stuff is fantastic.
It's a
better job on it than I would.
We introduced part one in that hit the convention circuit, the first issue. But he only showed up in the first 2 pages. I mean, not the first 2 pages.
Which book is it?
One panel on 1 page. So now the full story is going to be Astron meets Imagine the Mystic, and in the rift, and they battle, then they help each other, and they battle again. So it's like
sounds like a story with a moral.
Yeah, it's more of a comic book story. It's not really that political. There is some politics in it where, you have the Imagine the Mystic. He reads the first volume of World Without Superheroes books, the first 4 issues, and he sees that he died in issue number 2. So now he's trying to rewrite time and save Kennedy. So you have, and you have a Marilyn Monroe story also about Marilyn Monroe and the Kennedys, and about the mob and how the mob killed her and stuff like that, and the government as well to cover up her media coverage.
This is a Bronx Hero story.
This is a World Without Superheroes story. Yeah.
Wow.
And then Bronx Heroes. We have
fantastic.
The Clown Detective.
Yes, you know what? Because as we shared, and I know Tom's gonna be like, oh my God. I'll tell you a quick story. A friend of mine, Gary Somers.
Oh my God.
He was on here a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about Adam West. And Gary was good friends with Adam. And did you watch that one, Matt Ray? I don't know if you tuned in for that one. but I guess Tom's kind of like Adam West, and Ray will be Burt Ward there because Adam West, if he did an appearance with Burt Ward, be like, all he does is talk about the damn dog food. So Tom, I was going to say, let's talk about Punchline. Tom's going to be like, oh, all he does is talk about Punchline.
No. I want him to talk about Punchline because
but no,
there's a direct correlation. There's a direct correlation between 40 years ago when ideas were borrowed for Firestorm from me, and Ray's ideas are heavily borrowed.
Big time.
So go ahead, Ray. I enjoyed it.
Take the helm, Ray.
It's another thing that bothers more people, but it goes back to 1993. I took a class with Denny O'Neil. I was his student. And then years later, that was at SVA. Years later, I bumped into him at a Comic-Con. Well, I bumped into his wife. She was sitting next to me. And we were chit-chatting. I didn't know who she was. And we were just talking. She was talking like she was a teacher. She was retiring. And I was talking, we were sharing our experiences. She was a teacher up here. In the town up here, and I was teaching in the Bronx. And my husband teaches too at SVA. I was like, oh, really? That's cool. So, and then it ended up being Denny O'Neil. And then Denny O'Neil, we chatted. I told him I was a student of his. He didn't remember, and that's okay. But
I know you, Ray.
Kind of like we got into it. He looked at my portfolio. He thought like some of the characters. This is back in the day. Well, this is why I don't draw like fan art anymore. Like I just don't do that like at shows. So he looked at some of the fan art I was doing, and I was really just developing a story with my portfolio table. And I was a naive person, so I used to tell people about my stories. And so, he thought it was interesting. I said, hey, he says, can I get these drawings? I want to show these to some people at DC. And I was like, well, let me get you the story. I'm not going to give you the originals. He wanted the originals. I was like, no, I'll make color copies for you, and I'll give you the script. And he was like, sure. So he gave me his address. I was going to mail it to his house. And I think that was either the Friday or the Saturday. And then when I was wrapping it up on Sunday, I said, hey, what's your next convention? He says, I'm going to be at Baltimore Con. I was like, I'm going to be there too. So I'm going to be with my cousin. I don't have a table, but I'm going to be there hanging out. So he says, okay. So I said, I'll bring you this stuff. I'm not going to mail it to you. So I went, Baltimore Con came up. We met, we chit-chatted, talked a bunch, but he's making sales. He has fans. He had some guy with I hate these people that bring like a box, like a short box of comics for you to sign all of them. It's like, I don't know. People are so like, I don't like that. Let me bring this whole box for you to sign. There's like 200 books in there. So, this guy, he's preoccupied. So I was like, I gave him a manila envelope with 3 scripts and proposals for DC books. One was Dead Man, one was Animal Man, which was previously submitted to Vertigo. And then I had the Batman Elseworld story that takes place in the year 2020. Which introduced the character Punchline and a whole bunch of other characters, new characters that I created for the DC universe. So it was supposed to be an Elseworld story in the year 2020 now. And now in the year 2020, Punchline is actually in the DC universe. So, he never got back to me on it. I talked to him, emailed him. And then the next time I saw him was at an event. I think it was for Eisner or something. At the old comic book museum, the MoCA. Okay. We're on around Grace Jones Avenue, and on Broadway they had that place down there. It was Lexington, and so Lexington and Broadway. So we, a friend of mine, another editor at Marvel, was like, hey, let me introduce you to this guy. He's like, I already know him, and we talked. We said, hey, how's it going? And then I was about to bring up the story. He was just like, didn't want to talk about it, and kind of like left. And then the editor was like, what was that about? And I was like, I don't know. It's like, and then another time, I don't like to ask people. I have three strikes for me. I give you 3 chances. If you don't, respond within 3 chances, I'm not the person who's going to be chasing you and doing all that stuff. So there are 2 more incidents where I bumped into him. I asked him about it. He didn't want to talk about it. And I was just like, I got to protect this. I got to protect this thing, so I got to do something. So I started publishing Punchline in A World Without Superheroes. I put her in a panel in 2010, and then in 2012, I did a coloring activity book. I put Punchline in there as well, and it said "Who was aiming for Punchline" was the tagline, and it was a page that kids could color. And we were planning. It was part of the Women of Bronx Heroes line that we were developing at the time. And then you just get bombarded with doing all these projects. So the year that I'm working on this Punchline comic, I finally got to it. I'm in the middle of Punchline. The next day, somebody sent me a text of Punchline, and DC announced his Punchline. And I was like, screw these guys. I was like, I can't believe this. I'm already working on the Punchline book. I have the pages. I've already started like issue 1. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna print this out. So I went on and you can see it's like black and white because I didn't have time to color it. I was like, I need to. Well, I mean, I did grayscale. The first.
I'm just gonna say this book is definitely for adults.
Yeah, anything that's World Without Superheroes is for adults. Anything that's Bronx Heroes is kid friendly. So she is in the world without. That's why it says a world without superhero story. So anything that's World Without Superheroes this is just a straight up adult story. But it's basically, when I was writing it, I wasn't thinking about that Batman script because DC had not announced Punchline. I had redrawn the character as a detective, as a good guy, not as a villain. But then when they announced it, I was like, you know what? I got to look at my script and start, because that's back in 2005. I had to start digging through stuff and looking through my portfolios and looking at stuff. And finally, I got everything together. And then I started writing more towards that story. And interesting enough, the story that they published, they didn't just take the character; they actually took the story. So, like, for instance, in this book, the pantomime, aka the Joker, creates a drug, with using nanobites, nanomachines with heroin and the Joker serum to basically turn people into the Joker, right? And DC actually did that too. So they actually released just last month, and this book's been out for 2 months already. They don't explain it, how it works, but all of a sudden Batman is fighting these Joker zombies. People are turning into the Joker, and he just screams out, nanobites or nanomachines. And I was like, what the hell? So they're taking elements from the script as well.
That was the Joker War storyline?
The Joker War storyline, yeah.
What about the opening story where she's on the dock or something? It's exactly the same.
Yeah, and there's a scene where she's at the dock, and where they're bringing in the supplies for the drugs, and I also did the same thing here. So I'm kind of glad I went back. By issue 3, I went back into the story, and I started doing the actual story that I wrote. And there's a scene at the dock where the Dragon and the Sparrow, right? And DC has Batman and Robin fight. And they basically, it's a drug bust. They're trying to stop it from coming in.
Gotcha.
So, and that's where the big showdown happens. So, and there were other aspects of the script that were stolen back in 2010, and that was called Battle for the Cowl that DC put out. It was before the New 52, and the title of my script for the Elseworld was called Mantle of the Bat.
Mm-hmm.
So it was about Batman dying, being killed by the Joker and Ra's al Ghul.
Okay.
The Robin at that time, I believe, was, for short, it was Stephanie, whatever the hell her name was. She was a female Robin.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, I wrote her into the Elseworld story, and she becomes the new Joker. Now, the designs for the new Joker, as a female Joker, they actually stole for the New 52 for Batman, and that's a girl named Alice in the comics. Alice, the Batwoman story. So they already did Battle of the Cowl. I already knew that they stole that story of Batman dying, and then the whole story was about the replacement and looking for Batman's replacement. There was actually a fight, like all of his people, because my dad had died in 2007. this was 2005 when I scripted it, but it's just like that same. And then somebody died. Who died in 2005? Because when I wrote about it, there was something about someone that I know died.
Yeah.
And there was a big argument and fight with the family, and that usually happens, right? It's like, who's going to inherit this stuff? So literally, when Batman dies, all his children start fighting amongst each other. You know, I can't remember who died in 2005 now. So, and that kind of inspired me to write the story. So we killed Alfred. Joker killed Alfred, Leslie Thompson, the Teen Titans, with this. They were like guinea pigs for this Joker serum that didn't work. And then when they finally got it to work, the female Robin becomes the new Joker. And if you read the Joker War, there's a certain point where Dick Grayson's becoming the new Joker.
Interesting.
And then there's another character that was they're talking about the three Jokers. Also is using that whole nanobite thing where Joker can now replicate himself multiple times. He has multiple Jokers. So the three Joker storyline is based on that. And then Jason Todd, they're trying to say is going to become the new Joker. So, yeah, so it's basically Joker was trying to create an army. He figured, I'll defeat Batman because even after I will die, there will be someone to replace me because the entire world will be Jokers. So
obviously you reached out to DC and tried to.
Yeah, I've talked to their lawyers several times. They reached out to Tinian the Fourth and the artist. They claim that they never spoke to Denny O'Neil. I don't know if they reached out to Denny O'Neil. They didn't mention that, but maybe they did because he was the focus of my claim. And then literally a month later, Denny O'Neil dies, so during this pandemic. So Denny O'Neil dies shortly after. I don't know. Maybe he heard my name and had a heart attack. Oh, he's back. Oh.
You have that effect on people sometimes, don't you?
My sins. I gave away his script and screwed this kid over, and he's back.
Oh no!
So, anyways, we're coming to the end of our show here. So,
I'm just joking. I don't mean Denny O'Neil. I don't mean anything bad to him.
But like I said, you guys, you're always a regular. You're always regulars with us at all of our Incred events, if you will. So all your books and go to bhxcc.com. You can find out. I was just on there. You got to put the Astron up there, Ray.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm like,
we'll have Astron. Don't worry about it. We can give this another 5-10 minutes. It's okay.
All right. Well, I know someone wants to go watch Star Trek.
It's on at 10. Don't worry about it.
You what?
Star Trek's on at 10. Don't worry about it.
I know. Well, you might have to go to the bathroom.
No, I don't have to go to the bathroom.
He's got to go back to the green room.
The green room.
Take advantage of some of those refreshments.
We should have some more dirt to tell about the comic business.
Yeah, so that's punchline in a sense. Not to string it out, but that's
But Ray is in discussions right now, so we'll see now what happens. Now, what's very interesting is that
they're in discussions with you now.
He's in discussion.
back and forth, but they're still like saying, well, it's not, it's similar. Yeah, their official statement was that Denny O'Neil was not authorized to solicit anything from me for DC Comics, and I was like, well, he was one of the head editors of Batman in 2005. He was the guy. He's in the Batman camp.
Right.
Yeah. So he makes decisions. He is one of those big. He is a big writer. I mean,
gotcha.
Well, the thing that's interesting is that was a few years ago when Legends of Tomorrow came out and they had Firestorm on there. So I started making some noise on Facebook and with other people that I knew at DC about, so I brought up the whole Astron thing again. And then amazingly enough, like a few months later, after I brought it up, they kill him off on Legends of Tomorrow, which I thought was very interesting. And then I guess the short-lived comic book again was canceled. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I just thought it was very interesting that I just start talking about that, and all of a sudden the character disappears.
Yeah, they get rid of him. They don't want to pay you any money.
Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to take a look, this is some of the designs I did for them. This is what I gave Denny O'Neil. This is like a copy.
Hold on, we gotta give you the screen again.
Yeah, you hit the close up.
The design for Robin, which now he's the Cardinal. You know, these are some of the designs that he loved about it. This was the female Joker. See, she has this gothic look. They end up using that for. She was like a gothic in Lolita magazine. I used to read that magazine. So she has like 4 different outfits, and then
looked a lot like the character in the Batwoman TV series.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what they in the New 52 when they sued me. Remember when Marvel and DC sued me in 2010? This is an image of her with which way is this camera? I'm like, which way is the camera? Oh, this is an image of one of the covers. This was a cover of the female Joker cracking the Robin, and she's digging out the heart of Batman, and you have like the dead Joker in the back laughing with Ra's al Ghul and Leslie Thompson and a dead Alfred, right? This is the Batman suit. This is Dick Grayson as the Batman, so he uses Thanagarian technology to get make his wings. And then and the original premise was to bring back Dick Grayson Batman like the 1938 Batman. So that's why you see the ears here. And that's what they did back right before the New 52. They gave Dick Grayson like a 1938 look. So these are all the designs that he loved. He loved the whole storyline. And then of course I changed it to the Dragon now. Yeah. Book. So he's in red. Right. And this is the Catwoman that was used. You see, and actually they're changing Catwoman's costume now, and it looks a lot like this design.
Interesting.
What about the mention the Red Hood design that all of a sudden you put some stuff online, and all of a sudden they changed the design.
This is another female Joker costume when she's full gothic with her little. This is with the Punch and Judy gang. So she has a gang called the Punch and Judy gang, and this is her in full gothic regalia. So she has like different outfits in different issues. Kind of like. What's her name? And then, so there's a whole bunch of stuff here. This is the whole portfolio of stuff that I sent to him, and yeah. So, I mean, that's.
So you have all this stuff. You have proof.
This is Harley Quinn versus the female Robin. There was a big battle where Robin takes, and that's another thing that was in the story that Punchline that I killed Harley Quinn in the story, and Punchline was her little sidekick that takes over. She wasn't like an adversary to Quinn. She was like a little girl that was taken under Harley Quinn's wing. And actually in the comic book, the Batman comic book, the first thing Punchline does is try to kill Harley Quinn.
Interesting.
And she cuts her throat and throws her in a sewer. So the story follows the same beats. It's not a coincidence. That's pretty detailed stuff,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Makes sense.
Well, what about the Red Hood a couple of weeks ago? You showed me
the Red Hood design when I was 14, when Jason Todd was killed in 1988, 89. I had mailed. I don't have the original art here. I have it upstairs in my portfolio, but I had redesigned it when I released this book. This was the original design for the Red Hood back in 1989. I drew it and mailed it to DC Comic Books as a kid. I'm using it for the Punchline book now. But what's funny about it is that after this book's been out since I think April or May. I forget when it came out. But if you look at his face, right? Like now they make him look like Deadpool, right? I'm trying to match their. So I'm trying to make. They make Red Hood look like Deadpool and Iron Man, but I had changed. This is the way I designed his mask back in 1988. And now if you look at the new issue of Red Hood, his face mask has changed to look like that.
Interesting.
So, I had posted it on Facebook.
They love you, Ray, at DC. They'll pay you.
I sent them some drawings. It was Batman in space with a Batmobile that can go into space with a clone of Jason Todd. And the clone of Jason Todd, his mission is and Dick Grayson was also Batman there. I made Dick Grayson Batman. That was another future story. That was the year 2013. That's my first submission to DC, and the scenes look a lot like Batman Beyond the cartoon. It's Batman in an armored suit with a black face covering, but he doesn't have a red bat. He has the yellow oval, and he has machinery arms and machinery in his neck, and that's even before Batman broke his back. So this is a lot of early stuff that I sent out, and the Red Hood comes back. I didn't call him the Red Hood; I called him Robin, but he was basically a resurrected clone of Jason Todd, and he wore a red helmet.
Interesting.
But I didn't call him the Red Hood. I didn't. I called him Robin. He just had he had a red helmet. No, I can read those pages next time.
Hey, I have any new ideas that DC can rip off right now? Just say something they can just.
Go ahead.
You just come up with an idea right now, and then DC can rip it off. How about the? How about the?
They already ripped me off. It's like bend over some more. It's like.
How about Robin as a transsexual vampire or something? And then
don't say it, Tom. Don't give up our ideas, Tom.
Oh, that's coming. That's a new Bronx hero, apparently.
There you go. Vampire.
The Felix verse grows.
It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
So what's next for Incredicon? When's the next show?
Hopefully in the spring. We got to see what happens after all this stuff is done with. Hopefully.
Yeah,
we may have to do another outdoor show because I don't think things are going to be.
The outdoor shows are fun. I just did a signing that was outdoor. That was fun. It was cold as hell, but I did it. And then I just did a signing inside of a comic book store day before yesterday on Election Day.
Yeah,
Anyone Comics, and that was fun.
Yeah, no, I mean Incredicon goes on. That's why we do this every week. This has religiously been on every single week we've been doing these.
Yeah.
And then we did it. Listen, we are one of the only shows here in New York State that actually had an event in 2020. So how about that?
Exactly.
Hey.
Exactly. You and Comic Fest, yeah.
Hey, and I picked up some good books too.
Yeah. So
I got some good deals at the Incredicon. So
yeah. So I mean, tell your friends, everybody who's watching,
Tell your friends, your family, and your little children.
and your friends should go to bhxcc.com to get some books. I need to get a copy of Punchline. I don't know why I didn't pick one up.
Yeah, kids, buy Punchline.
And all the characters I showed you there have been revived in Punchline Clown Detective.
That's right. So get that now while you can. First edition.
This is my response to DC Comics, whether it gets resolved or not. This is my my trademark. So I trademark Punchline, and DC did.
Right.
That's
right. DC does not have trademark the Punchline. Ray does. So there.
There you go.
There you go. Punchline Clown Detective. So
that's right.
So the Bronx Heroes will return. Astron will return.
Yes.
They'll be back. Our Punchline and Black Power and Astron all going to meet up at one point in time?
Yes. Actually, I already drew the issue.
All right. Yes.
All the Bronx Heroes get together in Punchline number 7.
Yes.
And Astron too?
Here.
Everyone's going to be there.
Right here. Everyone. Bronx
Heroes exclusive tonight, folks.
They're all
That's
getting,
right, kid.
getting together. Everyone's getting together here.
Let's see.
This is for the grand finale. The grand finale. So
all right.
That's what we're working on here.
I'm sure that they'll have Firestorm guest star in Punchline.
100 pages. It's all in pencil right now, but this is.
There you go. There you go, kids.
Power. You have the Dragon. You have Heavy Traffic. You have the Sparrow. All the bird guys. All of them. You got a whole bunch.
So there you go.
And then of course there's going to be Astron 1939, the Golden Age. That'll be out next year.
There you go. This is here.
Nice.
So you have the Sparrow and the Rat, and then you have this other bird character. I forgot her name, but we have a bunch of birds. Bird feather.
That's right. We're going to have that. We're going to have the regular Astron Star Soldier graphic novel, and then we forgot about Lana of the Lost Land, Ray.
Oh
yeah. You got any of those around?
Yeah.
There's another one that I'm reviving, a character, Lana of the Lost Land. The Jungle Girl character. That's I think in the 80s. The raising.
I gotta say, after talking with you guys, I just want to go to the website and buy all the books that I don't have.
Well, why did you do that?
Look at that.
I have a bunch of them already.
Up from the next issue of the Punchline number 5.
All right.
Ah, nice.
I have Astron.
I know.
Comics 1. I have the limited edition World Without Superheroes.
There you go.
I got that. I got of course, was it 1.0, 2.0, 36.0?
There you go.
Zeros. And then of course I got Runaway Slave, which is always great.
Yeah.
For the Lone Star.
Monitor Lost Land.
Look at that one. Look at that one. That's beautiful. Beautiful art. Beautiful.
Look at that.
DC said you don't draw DC style, whatever that is. Look how beautiful that is. Nobody draws like that in the comic book world. Look at how gorgeous that
Nobody except Ray Felix.
is. Exactly.
Ray is a golden age artist comeback.
Yeah.
There you go.
Ray Felix, the golden age. That'll be next.
There's a lot of talented art in DC and Marvel. A lot of artists, but a lot of them are just going for that Jim Lee house style, and that's too bad because, he's a great artist. Nothing against him, but it's just like it gets boring. It's just like
something different.
Yeah, it's just like when everyone drew like Romita's phenomenal, but when everyone was drawing Spider-Man like Romita, and it was like a cheap secondhand Romita when Romita didn't draw it, and then Todd McFarlane comes out, he changes the game, and everyone's like, "Wow, this is new," and that's why McFarlane I think was so huge, is because he broke away from that house style,
exactly
his own look. People get bored. I think everything looks the same. Every artist looks the same, and I think that's a mistake.
Going to Comic-Con, was it last year, the year before, whatever, you go to Artist Alley and all the artists look the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't, and as I was mentioning to a couple of my friends who were there who were the older Marvel artists, in the old days, you could look at a book and you didn't have to see the credit. You knew exactly Sal Buscema, John Buscema, Jack Kirby, Marie Severin, Herb Trimpe, whatever. You don't put them all apart. Now you look at it. I have no idea. I went to the comic book store today. What did I buy? I bought the reprints of the Avengers comics from the 70s. Mm-hmm. But you could tell the difference. George Tusker or John Buscema. But you look at all the new books; they all look the same. It looks like the same person did it.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Right.
And also it's a lot of Photoshop too.
Gotcha.
And I think if they want to survive, they have to get more original. They have to be more unique, kind of like 2000 AD type of stuff. They need to really.
Right.
They need to bring it back the original art, original stories. And this multiverse is just killing. It's like how much can you do?
This is the good stuff here. They just reprinted this today, so this is a reprint of Avengers 57. Yeah. And the thing that's funny is there's a letter page. So this is from whatever year that was, 68 or 70. And who's in the letter page? My pal, Tony Isabella.
Oh, hey, Tony. I like DC, the characters. I'm a Batman fan. It's like I love the Batman. If you've been to my house, you see I have superheroes all over the place. I don't know companies, it's just they have a dishonest policy,
Well, I think part of it is also a lack of creativity. They really don't have anybody who really has any ideas, so it's like, well, it's easier to steal the ideas from Ray. This is good stuff.
I got such a
Look
big
at that. $1.
Ideas.
It's the best. $1.
Yeah, exactly.
You buy that for $1 at the comic book store.
Yeah,
and it's great artwork. Look at that. Look at this. This is real artwork.
Yeah,
look at that stuff.
That's fantastic. I think I got the original of that one.
You can actually see the art with the digital coloring now. Everything is dark. You can't see any of the artwork.
Yeah.
You can actually see the artwork there.
That's why I like the black and white editions. The black and white editions.
Yeah.
You can see the pen strokes.
Now look at the color of this. Is the color of a current book that's selling, and you can't really.
It's overdone.
So there's the original book.
Yeah.
That's
the problem right there. It's overdone. And what the hell is that?
No one knows.
That looks like.
Well, the other thing that modern comics, man, in closing, modern comics is that they don't know how to tell a story.
They don't.
they lost the essence of storytelling.
Yes, and they drag out these stories too. Like they just
Well, they want you to buy the books.
Yeah, but they keep you on the hook in these bad stories. I miss the days of reading a comic book by Denny O'Neil, where you read the story and it ends. It's boom, boom, boom. It follows a beat and it's done. It's like then the next issue is another story. Or Alan Davis and Paul Nearly, You read the stories, it's done. Each issue is like its own thing, or if it continues, it doesn't continue for more than 2 or 3 issues. Or it builds up, it builds up into the next. And I never stopped reading comic books. So, I mean, I know what they're writing. And, I don't read them out of enjoyment anymore. I read them to make sure that I'm not getting ripped off. That's ever since 2010, when I got sued by Marvel and DC over this War Without Superheroes book. That's the only reason why I still buy comics is because of that. It's just, just like the Black Power. You mentioned Black Power, and then they have the Signal, and they ripped it off. But now they canceled this book. The Batman and the Outsiders book got canceled, because I mentioned that in the lawsuit as well. So.
Well,
so
the battle continues, right?
Yeah, and then remember, probably within the next few months, Ray and I are going to do some Kickstarters.
Yeah,
get some of these books going.
Some Kickstarters, some GoFundMe's. We're gonna take this to the next level.
Yeah, because since there won't be that many conventions, unfortunately, it won't be the Black Comic Convention this year. I think.
Right.
Which is a great convention.
And I think that the indie market is thriving despite Marvel and DC hiring a lot of people from. If you look at a lot of the art, they're not even American. Some of these people, they're really great artists, but they're
using a lot of artists from Spain and Italy.
Yeah, Spain, Italy, Portugal. They're hiring a lot of different people. There's a lot of artists here in the United States that are not even getting the work.
Well, listen, I hate to say it, but I went and I hired a couple of artists for the Lana of the Lost Land book, and I wanted some pinups and a couple of great artists. I got one fellow. Who does stuff for the Creeps, and he does a lot of stuff for the Tarzan comic strip. Benito Gallego, he's in Spain. I had him do a pinup for Lana, and I also had another friend in the Philippines, Carl Comendor, and he's a great Philippine artist, and he's not really known here, but he's very famous there. He did a few pinups for me of Astron and of Lana. So I mean, these guys are good, but the problem is that the American companies are using primarily a lot of these people because they know they can get them cheaper.
Well, that's the thing. It's all about the money.
I mean, it should be a mix, because in the old days, 70s and 80s. They hired a lot of Filipino artists, but then they brought them here, and they were living here. So then they had to pay them actually.
They give them working
wages,
give them a living wage and a work.
I'm friends with a lot of them, Rudy Nebres and Romeo Tangal, and I used to know Alfredo Alcala and Alex Nino. All these guys lived here. They brought them here, but what's happening now is that they're just doing it all on the internet. So.
Well, that's the thing is they find all their talent. That's
right.
The
grassroots resurgence of comics. I think Kickstarter is a good platform for that.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do the Kickstarter for a bunch of stuff. So, kids, get save up your pennies because you're gonna be spending a lot of money with the Felix verse.
Save up your money for toilet paper and when we shut down, and some comic books to read.
We're not shutting down.
Pandemic 2. Coming
soon. There'll be no Pandemic 2.
No, actually, what we're waiting for in the next couple of weeks is the Trump meltdown.
No, that happened about 2 hours ago.
Oh no, his real meltdown. He's going to melt down once Biden hits the 270. You're going to see a meltdown like you never saw.
Oh yeah, he's already at 264 according to the Associated Press.
Yeah. So he's gonna be melting down so much that it's just gonna be unbelievable.
And now
this is what I predict. I predict before December, Trump will stand down. He's going to he's going to resign. He's going to Pence will be president, and he's going to give a blanket pardon to Trump and his family. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah, probably. He's going to have to leave the country, like he said. I got to go to Russia. I can't if I lose to this guy.
Well, he'll build his Trump Tower in Moscow like he always wanted to.
Yeah.
He'll be with his pal Putin.
But don't forget, buy the Bronx Heroes in Trump land.
Right, and remember, kids, Trump's hair is an alien that controls him.
That's right.
That's in the book. When I just gave away the story.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. All right. Well,
All right.
Tom's got to go watch Star Trek.
All right, with Star Trek Discovery. Kids, everyone, now switch to Channel 2, CBS, Star Trek Discovery.
Well, I got to shout out next week's guest, so hold on. And then we'll wrap up here.
Thanks for having us on. I really appreciate it. It's fun.
Listen, you guys are always welcome here. You know that. My punchline.
Pick up your copy and read everything that DC.
But who's on next week?
Next
week's guest is Merv Griffin. No,
next week I have the captain from Discovery. That is Shaniqua. No, I don't. I was like, what? No. Shaniqua Green is here next week.
I got a friend of mine that's on television. If you want to interview him, he's a really good guy.
All right.
Tell you about it after we're off the air.
But no, next week we have our buddy, and you've met Tim Clark. Tim Clark, he designed the Boglins, the Sectars.
Oh, I love that.
Nice. And the Boglins are back. Boglins are back. So Tim's going to be. He's got a Kickstarter going right now, which they've exceeded already.
They should really do the Kickstarter on Sectors too.
Yeah, well,
he's exceeded his thing.
He sure did. So he's been at the Boglins. So we'll talk more about that next week with Tim Clark. And again, he's another friend of ours. He's been on here several times already.
Is it my imagination, or was there a commercial for Boglins? I think I remember a commercial for that. Did he have a commercial for that?
He made a new one.
He made a new one, but did he have an old one back in the day when they first came out?
Probably.
I think I remember seeing that.
Probably, but yeah, Tim's a good guy.
They're on the TV, and they have young Sheldon, and they're doing a whole thing where he's reading a Batman comic, and the Batman is talking to him in the comic book.
Drawn by Denny O'Neil. No. Denny O'Neil is with us in spirit tonight.
Yeah, the funny thing is that they said, Denny O'Neil has nothing to do with Batman anymore, and then the 80th anniversary of Batman, Denny O'Neil actually did a story adjacent to the Punchline origin. He didn't do anything with Punchline, but he did the Punchline.
Right. They're all full. They're all
whatever.
They're all covering their pockets. Don't worry about it.
Peace, Danny, I forgive you. Get up.
Right.
Go to Bronx Heroes.
The Punchline Astron Firestorm team up. Don't worry.
Yeah, take care.
All right, guys.
Yeah. Next week.
Biden 2020. Right? Look at my Kirby hand right there.
Oh my goodness.
All right, hold on. I got to do my
Excelsior.
Excelsior.